A 6-hour reply gap tells you when the message arrived. It does not tell you why it waited. 6 hours during a workday can be ordinary. 6 hours after someone asks, "Are we okay?" can feel enormous. The clock is identical. The stakes are not. Now compare two answers. One arrives in 30 seconds and says, "K." The other arrives tonight and says, "I saw this. I needed time to think. I do want to talk." The first reply is faster. The second may feel more responsive because it shows understanding and gives you a next step. That is the central difference. Reply speed measures time. Responsiveness measures whether the answer meets the person who sent the message. Imagine that your friend asks what time dinner starts. You are in a meeting. You reply 6 hours later with the address and an apology. The delay is inconvenient, but the message was mainly logistical. Now imagine that your partner writes, "You seemed distant last night. Are we okay?" The same delay now contains uncertainty. Your mind has 6 hours to build explanations. The stopwatch cannot tell those situations apart. You have to look at 4 other clocks inside the delay. The first is the availability clock. Was the person asleep, driving, working, caring for someone, or simply away from the phone? A phone can receive a message even when its owner cannot give that message real attention. Delivery is not the same as availability. The second is the effort clock. "What time?" may need 3 words. "What did you mean when you said that?" can require a careful answer. A slower reply can reflect more effort, although it does not always do so. The important point is that different messages demand different amounts of work. The third is the emotional readiness clock. Some messages ask for facts. Others ask a person to admit fear, disappointment, affection, or regret. Emotional readiness can lag behind physical access to a phone. Someone may have seen the words and still need time to decide how honest they can be. The fourth is the expectation clock. Every relationship develops a local rhythm. One friendship may run on scattered messages answered at night. Another may depend on quick coordination throughout the day. A 6-hour delay is not a universal signal. It becomes a signal when it is different from the rhythm the two people have established. This is why one late reply cannot reveal a whole personality. It cannot prove disinterest. It cannot diagnose anxiety or an attachment style. It cannot tell you whether someone is lying. A single delay is one observation with many possible causes. A better question is not, "How long did they take?" Ask, "How did this delay compare with the context and the pattern?" Start with context. A workday delay means something different from a Saturday night delay. A message sent across time zones may arrive during sleep. A vulnerable disclosure carries different weight from a meme. An urgent request for help is not the same as a casual recommendation. Then look at the normal pattern. Suppose a friend usually answers within a day. One reply takes 2 days during a difficult week. That may be noise. Now suppose the same friend used to answer thoughtfully and has begun leaving every important question untouched. The change is more informative than the absolute number of hours. Patterns deserve attention because they reduce the number of plausible stories. One late reply might be work, sleep, low battery, uncertainty, illness, distraction, or a forgotten notification. 10 similar delays around the same kind of conversation reveal more structure. They still do not prove a hidden motive, but they give you something concrete to discuss. Next, examine the reply itself. Does it acknowledge what mattered? Does it answer the important part? Does it offer a reliable next step? Researchers sometimes describe perceived partner responsiveness through experiences such as understanding, validation, and warmth. That helps explain why a fast reply can feel cold, while a slower reply can feel caring. A study of 647 emerging adults looked at texting in geographically close and long-distance relationships. More frequent texting and perceived responsiveness were associated with greater relationship satisfaction among the long-distance participants. The same pattern did not appear in the geographically close group. The study was correlational, so it cannot prove that texting behavior caused satisfaction. What it does show is that the meaning of texting depends on relationship context. Distance changes what the channel has to carry. Think about the difference between "Sorry, busy" and "Sorry, I disappeared. I understood that you were asking whether tomorrow still works." It does. I can call at 7. The second message does 3 jobs. It names the gap. It answers the real question. It creates a dependable next point of contact. Those jobs matter more than a perfect response time. Technology habits also differ between people. One person treats every notification as a request for immediate attention. Another checks messages in batches. Trouble appears when each person assumes their own practice is universal. Research on everyday technology interruptions suggests that context and similarity in partners' phone practices matter. Raw frequency does not explain the whole relationship. Two people can both be frequent texters and still frustrate each other if one expects uninterrupted conversations while the other jumps between tasks. That gives us another useful distinction. A delay can be a timing mismatch, a priority mismatch, or a responsiveness problem. A timing mismatch means the people are available at different moments. They may care equally and still miss each other all day. A priority mismatch means they disagree about how quickly this kind of message deserves attention. One person treats plans as flexible. The other needs early confirmation. A responsiveness problem means the eventual reply repeatedly avoids the important part. The answer may arrive quickly or slowly. What makes it unresponsive is not the hour count. It is the failure to meet the concern. When you are waiting, your brain does not enjoy an empty information box. It tries to complete the picture. Maybe they are angry. Maybe you said too much. Maybe they are losing interest. Maybe they saw the preview and chose someone else. Those stories feel like evidence because they arrive with emotion. They are still stories. Try a 2-column check. In the first column, put only what you know. I sent the message at noon. It shows delivered. We had planned to speak tonight. In the second column, put every explanation your mind generated. They are upset. They are avoiding me. They forgot. They are overwhelmed. The first column is observation. The second is interpretation. Keeping them separate does not make the uncertainty pleasant, but it prevents one imagined answer from becoming a verdict. You can also ask what the message requested. Did it need information, reassurance, a decision, an apology, or emotional presence? The more emotionally loaded the request is, the more likely the sender will experience silence as meaningful. That does not mean the most frightening interpretation is correct. It means the waiting has higher stakes. If you are the late replier, one short bridge message can stop a large amount of uncertainty. Try, I saw this. I want to answer properly. Can I come back tonight? That sentence does not require you to solve the conversation immediately. It confirms receipt. It communicates intention. It gives a time boundary. For a logistical message, use, I cannot confirm yet. I will know by 6. For an emotional message, use, I understand this matters. I need a little time so I do not answer carelessly. I will call after dinner. For a missed message, use, I lost track of this. I am sorry. The answer is yes, and I should have told you earlier. Notice what these examples avoid. They do not invent an elaborate excuse. They do not punish the other person for asking. They do not promise an exact time that the sender cannot keep. A useful bridge is brief and reliable. If you say tonight, return tonight. Otherwise, the bridge becomes another broken expectation. If you are the person waiting, ask a question about coordination before asking a question about character. Instead of, why do you always ignore me? Try, when a message needs a real answer, what timing should I expect? Instead of, are you losing interest? Try, I noticed our reply rhythm changed this week. Is your schedule different, or should we talk about something? Instead of sending 5 escalating messages, try one clear request. I need to know by 7, so I can make another plan. These questions are not magically conflict-free. They are simply easier to answer because they point to observable behavior and a practical need. There is also a moment when waiting should stop being an interpretation exercise. If the missing reply affects safety, money, travel, childcare, medical care, or another time-sensitive decision, use another channel or proceed with a backup plan. Do not treat an urgent situation like a test of someone's affection. For ordinary conversations, use a 3-part test. First, context. What was happening when the message arrived? How much attention did the question reasonably require? Second, consistency. Is this delay normal, unusual, or part of a repeated change? Third, responsiveness. When the reply came, did it show understanding? Did it answer the important part? Did it create a reliable next step? Context tells you what pressure surrounded the delay. Consistency tells you whether you are looking at a moment or a pattern. Responsiveness tells you what the person did with the connection once they returned. That test works in both directions. A rapid response can fail it. Someone can answer instantly while dismissing the question and refusing every next step. A slow response can pass it when the context makes sense and the answer is thoughtful. This does not mean time never matters. Chronic delays can create real planning problems. Silence after vulnerable messages can hurt. Repeatedly missing agreed response windows can damage trust. The solution is to name the pattern and negotiate expectations, not to pretend that every hour carries the same meaning. You might decide that your communication rhythms are incompatible. That is useful information too. Compatibility does not require identical phone habits. It requires a workable agreement about what deserves urgency, how to signal a delay, and when each person can expect a return. That agreement can be surprisingly specific. 2 friends might decide that ordinary messages can wait until the next day. Anything time-sensitive begins with, need an answer by 6. A couple might agree that neither person has to hold a serious conversation while working. They send a bridge message and choose a time to return. A family group might decide that calls are for urgent issues, while the group chat is not monitored continuously. Clear rules remove a hidden source of conflict. Without a rule, each person judges the other by an expectation that was never spoken. One thinks, if this mattered, you would answer now. The other thinks, if this were urgent, you would call. Both believe the signal is obvious. They are using different signal systems. You can build a workable system with 3 questions. What counts as urgent? Name the situations that should move to a call or another immediate channel. What counts as acknowledged? Decide whether a short bridge message is enough when a full answer needs more time. What return window is realistic? Choose a promise that fits actual work, sleep, and family routines. A reliable 6-hour promise is more useful than an unrealistic 10-minute promise. Then test the agreement against real life. If the rule keeps failing, adjust the rule. Do not keep using a promise that neither person can follow. The same principle applies when a reply rhythm changes. Ask about the change before assigning a motive. We used to check in at lunch, and lately we have not. Is that schedule still working for you? That question leaves room for a practical explanation and also makes the effect visible. If the other person repeatedly refuses to discuss the pattern, that refusal is information. It still does not prove every story your mind created. It tells you that coordination is not being repaired. You can make decisions based on that observable fact. There is a useful balance here. Do not turn one delayed message into a verdict. Do not ignore a repeated pattern that affects trust or planning. Curiosity is appropriate for the first data point. A clear conversation is appropriate when the pattern continues. A boundary is appropriate when an agreed need is repeatedly dismissed. So the next time 6 hours pass, resist the temptation to turn the timer into a personality test. Ask what the message needed. Compare the delay with the normal pattern. Read the eventual response for understanding and follow through. The clock can tell you how long you waited. Context, consistency, and responsiveness tell you what the waiting may actually mean. If this helped you read the pattern instead of the stopwatch, please subscribe for more.